Hello, Dave Stolte, the winner of
Hi.
the Cut&Paste 2010 competition. Well, first of all, congratulations on that epic win. And yeah, I mean, this must be really, really exciting to to have gone through that. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about the competition and about how you actually approached the competition itself. So why don't
Okay.
we start by you telling us a little bit about your background and who you are?
Yeah, I'm a visual artist. I work as a design director and illustrator. I've been in the business about 30 years doing all kinds of work, web work, publishing, trade shows, a little bit of everything. And lately I've been primarily focused on pushing my illustration.
On your blog, you say that you spent about 25 years in the world of design, but doing other people's works, therefore developing
Right.
their ideas, I guess.
Right.
Before you found your own voice, your own path, let's call it like that. What is it that triggered that?
Well, prior to when I started working in this style, I had done a lot of illustration, but it was never in a consistent style. Art directors would bring me an assignment, and I would do whatever they wanted in 5, 10 different styles. And I guess subconsciously along the way, I'd been absorbing all of these influences from movies and music and pop culture and other illustrators and designers, and I just got the got an idea one day to create this image, and I just wanted to do something that I thought my daughter would think was
Hmm.
cool, and showed it to her, and she did think it was cool. So I kept going, and the style evolved to what I'm doing now.
Cool. So, where do you find your inspiration today?
Today, God, I look at there's a lot of great illustrators out there that are, it's very humbling how talented some of these people are. But I look a lot at the past. I look at the work of Mary Blair and Jim Flora and the animators that worked at UPA in the 50s and 60s, where they would have sort of a loose drawing with the color underneath that didn't exactly match,
Hmm.
and Japanese pop culture, and all kinds of crazy things.
Hmm. So a little bit from a lot of different sources, let's say. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always looking, and there's just so many interesting things. They always find some way into my stuff.
So let's talk about Cut&Paste now. How did you actually find out about the competition, and what is it that drove you to participate?
Well, I found out about it, I think through a design blog or Twitter or Facebook. I wasn't sure, but it was 3 years ago. And the way that it works is you submit your portfolio, and if they think you're interesting enough, they invite you up for a test round to see how you do making something in 15 minutes. And I did that for 2 years, and they said no, thank you. So on the
What
third
went wrong?
time, I don't know. Maybe I just maybe I was still developing the style, so maybe my work didn't show a level of confidence
Hmm.
or looseness. And that's something that I really try to work into my work. I do a very small pencil drawing, and I try to keep it loose and
Hmm.
leave in little mistakes and things so that it looks
Hmm.
spontaneous. Um, so I primarily wanted to get into the competition just as a sort of a way of self-promotion, but also as a creative challenge
Hmm.
to put myself out there and see what happens.
So we were talking about yeah, what it was that drove you to participate.
The creative challenge to put myself up there and see what can happen. And you're up on stage with 7 other people who are equally talented, if not more so. And you just hope that maybe they've been drinking too much the night before, and you can get an edge on them, and or the judges like your work for whatever reason. But yeah, I did okay in the test in the LA competition, and then went on to New York with the other designers from around the
Hmm.
world.
So how does a typical round work at Cut&Paste?
They give you the theme word or concept a few days in advance, so you can be thinking about it, and you can be coming up with an idea and practicing. But you can't bring any finished work on stage with you. It has to all be created within that 15 minutes. So if you're doing a pencil sketch or a photograph or creating a texture or anything, it all has to happen inside that 15 minutes.
I guess the pressure of like being on stage and designing on stage must be really huge. Is there anything you trained or practiced before you actually got on that stage?
Well, I knew what, just because I had gone to the competition before and as an audience member, I knew what to expect. So when I was practicing at home, I had like really loud, annoying techno music playing to kind of rock me around a little bit and throw me off. And it just, I, I started out with a big concept, and I knew that in practicing it was too big, and I was never going to be able to do it in 15 minutes. So I just kept bringing it down and sort of tightening it up to something I could do in the amount of time.
Hmm. Being a great cut and paste competitor is not just about having great ideas or beautiful design. It's also about how you build and reveal that design in these famous 15 minutes. For example, I've seen people go completely wild when a competitor starts using things like step and repeat in Illustrator. Are there
Right.
any techniques that you swear by?
Well, I know that when I'm up on stage, I'm telling a story, so I have some sense of a narrative about how I build the project. I start out with a pencil sketch, and in New York, I also did some watercolor on stage as a part of it. So for the first 5 or 7 minutes, the audience doesn't see anything happening up on my screen. They're seeing everybody else, just like charging ahead, and I'm blank.
Mm.
So they think that I'm choking or that, so there's something wrong technically or whatever, but I'm actually starting the design there. I take a picture with the iPhone, bring it into Photoshop, and then start building it digitally in the last half of the 15 minutes. So that creates a little bit of tension in the audience, and then they see it starting to happen, and they see it come together,
Hmm.
and then I put the title on at the end. So they see my design and they see what's going on, but they might not know exactly what it's about until I tell them with the
Wow.
title, and that's like the punchline at the end.
I think that that's a really good point. It's all about the storytelling in the end, about what you also do on stage and what you do not do on stage at that. In your case, yeah, yeah, or what you
One of the
do
judges,
hidden, yeah.
one of the judges came up to me afterwards and said he thought it was really cool and sort of it put me over the edge that I had started out analog with a pencil sketch
Mm-hmm.
because to him that meant that you start out with an idea first and then you bring it into the computer and you use the tools. But it's always important to start with that idea.
Is there like a favorite technique or way of working that you consider your secret weapon at Cut and Paste?
I use the Wacom tablet, the little bamboo
Mm-hmm.
tablet that's pressure sensitive, and that I could not do what I do without that. And of course, in Photoshop, the layers, the layer masks, and the adjustment layers, there's no way that I could do what I do, especially in 15 minutes, without those tools. They just make everything flow naturally, and they sort of. The nice thing about Photoshop is that it's big enough that you can get it to work the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
So one person might use it one way and another person uses it another way. And I use a specific set of tools and functions that mimic the way that I create art.
Yeah, and you were mentioning sketching and using watercolors. All of these techniques are getting better and better, I think, in Photoshop and Illustrator with the new brushes. They're much more natural, right? Would you agree on that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The brushes and all the controls that I have over opacity and the brush
Mm-hmm.
size and the sort of random nature by doing a scatter, all of those are great and they help the thing that I'm interested in my art is sort of bridging between traditional and digital media and that kind of tension when you look at something you're not sure, was this done by hand? Was this done on the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
computer? And when you look at it, you realize there's no way that it could have been done by hand because there's a pencil sketch floating on top of all these, other elements.
Yeah, yeah.
So Photoshop is the only way to do that.
Do you have any advice you want to give to future cut and paste competitors?
Anyone that's interested in getting into cut and paste, I say just go for it. Try out, be yourself, and don't be afraid and don't try to tailor your work to what you think the audience or the judges are going to like. Just be authentic and put yourself out there and see what happens.
Listen, on your Twitter profile, you say that you also tweet about the '70s a lot. Tell us one thing that rocked your life in the '70s.
Star Wars. When I was 12 years old when that first movie came out, and prior to that, even though I was aware of design and illustration in sort of a pop culture way, looking at cereal boxes and the gas station logos and things like that, that all those things made an impact on me. It wasn't until that movie came out and I looked at like the pre-production paintings and all the sketches and all the creative work that went into it. I didn't really realize that you could be an artist
Hmm.
and be successful and have a line around the block for people
Uh-huh.
looking to see stuff. I'm still trying to figure that out, but uh,
Well,
that was my big influence.
well,
Yeah,
again, thank you so much for your time and congratulations again on that epic win. I think I see the yeah,
yeah.
that's the trophy right there
That's the
behind
Nuka
you.
trophy back there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dave, thank you so much and good luck in the future.
Thanks.